Welcome, everyone, and happy Hump Day. This is Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. And normally, this is where I start with some sort of silly comment, or I set Andy up for something. But I have bad news, Andy. It seems like Bruce Springsteen is being charged with drunken driving in New Jersey. I thought he could do no wrong in New Jersey. I thought he had carte blanche there.
Yeah. Well, all his songs are about like driving and cars and shit. I guess maybe he should have known better. The boss, really? Man, that's not good.
We'll see. Hopefully, he does his community service time and everything's all right. At the very least, he's got enough money to pay for a driver, I guess.
There's a really funny Springsteen tweet I got to go find. Yeah, he was. Oh, look at Patrick. He was born to run from the police. That's not good.
Well done.
Strap your hands across my ears.
Good job, guys.
I do a decent Springsteen once in a while.
So. I also like this one, Andy. He's trying to catch up to Billy Joel. That was funny.
Yeah. Long Island's finest.
That's okay. We're not here to talk about, depressing North Jersey singers. We're actually here to talk about sports, guys. Where do you want to start here today, Andy? Should we start in the association?
Hit your association. Yeah, we were going to do a little basketball, a little tennis. Then we got our, the usual suspects helping me out with some golf.
Beautiful. Well, we'll start in the association where I like what you did here, Andy. We love the Charlotte Hornets here. There was a couple plays that I actually put out on BetSperts last night and early this morning, a couple unders that are just gone. Again, make sure you follow us on the app there. Myself at Alex Christensen with no space. Andy's just Andy, so you get that stuff right away. So just the one play really left here. Looks at the market number. I've got the Charlotte Hornets +4. I've got the Charlotte Hornets on the money line +150. Might even be looking to, maybe find like an alt spread them -1 or 2 points. We'll see how feisty I'm feeling later. But I make them a small favorite here in this game. Memphis has been very good with John Morant in, but Charlotte has frankly been better as I start to go back. And really what it looks like to me is just the Charlotte depth just continues to play out, whereas Memphis starts to get skinny. And even though Morant's back, they still haven't caught up and gotten to a point where I think, as someone that was really down on the Charlotte Hornets team, this feels weird to say. I don't know if the Grizzlies are as good as the Hornets are at this point. So have Charlotte here as just a very slight favorite by like a quarter of a point or a half a point or whatever. So happy to grab the +4 on the spread and the +50 on the money line. Go Hornets.
Go Hornets. And yes, good point you brought up earlier, because mine got away from me today, my play. And this happens. There's movement, especially in smaller college basketball. But I will be on the Salukis of Southern Illinois. There's some good Valley action tonight. This is probably the worst of the three. Like, I don't know, Valpo Bradley's not going to be good, but Northern Iowa and Drake, that's like an actual good game in the Missouri Valley Conference. But after that, 7:00 Central, 8 Eastern, the nightcap. Missouri State hosts my Salukis, which is a beautiful greyhound-like dog, one of the best mascots in all of college basketball. Southern Illinois played a little better of late. They kind of had a rough stretch through the middle, but I mean, they had to play Drake twice in a row. They played, I feel like they should have done better against Indiana State, but with a couple wins over Northern Iowa and Bradley over their past couple here, they've been playing decent basketball. I make this closer to like 4.5. I got a 7.5 on the open. I got some 7s. I don't think there's any 7s anymore. If you can find one, that'd be really good. But I'd play this at 6.5. I'm fine with that. So the Salukis tonight in I'm trying to think where the hell Missouri State is. I can tell you where Southern Illinois. I think it's just Springfield. Missouri. There's a lot of Missouri schools, but I'm a little down on them, even though they are highly ranked. They don't shoot the 3-ball very well, which I'm fine with, especially after last night when the 3-ball kind of killed me at times. So getting back on track, and this is what I'll probably watch this one, actually, before I get into some tennis, because that's about when tennis is going to start. Speaking of tennis, before we get into golf, what do you got tonight for the viewers, for the listeners, for the people that want something to play?
Really 2 players here we're going to highlight tonight. The first one is Nadia Podoroska. Excuse me, I'll try to put that name up on the screen here. Podoroska.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even make a banner for it. I feel like
that's okay. So Nadia Podoroska here, we've talked about her a couple times before. She is just a young upcomer on the tour, someone that I still as I look at some of these prices here, I'm just confused as to why she's not getting a little more respect. She's playing Donna Vekic, a player who I think is more of a name at this point than anything else. She played a solid match in her first round there, so maybe it gave me a little bit of pause here, but I have Podoroska closer to like -180, maybe even a little bit deeper here. I would make her -4 games in this spot. So happy to lay the money line there. I know that's a little juicy for some people, but just because it's juicy doesn't mean you can't find an edge. So I like that -165. And then I've also laid the 3 games there as well. What do you think there, the young Argentinian?
We've been riding her. I'm fine with this. And yeah, that's kind of a misconception with the juice. It is a little juicy, but when it comes to things like this, tennis, when it comes to maybe even golf at some points, I'm fine laying juice. If it's 165 and you make it -210, I can lay it. I don't care.
Yeah, in a head-to-head sport, you have less variability with who's going to be in, who's going to be out. If there is any injury, you usually just get a refund and get your bet back anyway. So what I'm doing here is I'll put the money line to win 1 unit, and then I'll put half a unit there on the -3.
We did that again. We did it again. So yeah, and Brett, smart Chicago character, Brett F says Podoroska should be -230. So it's fine laying that. I did make your banner for the other one. This this goofy. She's a goofy player, I think. I can't say. I'll let you handle it. Say the last name.
Alison van Uytvanck. She is I believe she's from Belgium. Or yes, maybe the Netherlands. I'm trying to remember. One of those Benelux countries. I think it is Belgium. Kind of a funny looking tennis player, if you will. She's very tall, has red hair, freckles, like the whole thing. If you're into redheads and freckles, she's a good look for you, but not particularly my taste. What I do like about her, though, is given her size, given her strong serve, and how fast these courts are going to be, she's played a nice first-round match here. I think she's starting to finally work herself in some form. And given what her serve really is, she's playing a young player by the name of Yulia Putintseva. And you might remember Yulia Putintseva if you're even closely connected to the tennis world, because she was freaking out about being stuck in a hotel room for 2 weeks and she couldn't go outside, and there was a mouse every once in a while, and it was so terrible. Oh God, imagine the things you have to go through to get paid $100,000 just to show up to a tennis match. But yeah, all that aside, I think this is just a great matchup for van Uytvanck. I think we're getting some value here because Putintseva is 3-0 lifetime against van Uytvanck. All 3 of those matches were before 2018, all of them on slower or different surfaces than we're playing on today. I think this is a great spot for van Uytvanck. So we'll grab the underdog here. And I like her a bunch of different ways. I see some value on the money line at +241, as well as the game spread +4.5 games, and the set spread as well, +1.5 sets. So I'm going to take half unit and kind of sprinkle it on each one of those.
I'm looking forward to investing some. I played some Stan over. If you watched us on VSiN yesterday, that was the only play of Drew, the well cappers, that I actually liked. So, and easy, went 5 sets, like 50 damn games. So that went over by a bunch. So I'm going to reinvest that into some female underdogs tonight. And I'm a little late to the game on golf this week, so I had to bring someone in because I am struggling. I just had a busy week. It's not a good, it's not even a really good tournament anyway. So I raked and I found the dregs of the golf community. I said, I'll just bring anyone in for this. It's fine. It's James. It's JD. It's my guy. We couldn't get anyone else.
Be so mean to him.
I got him up early. He's a West Coast guy. I got him up early. So James Mazzola of the For Profit Podcast at JMazJD. The JD stands for Juris Doctor. Because he's almost a lawyer. He's like the Rainmaker. Fake lawyer, very smart guy. Gets
all lawyers I know are something else anyway.
Yeah, gotta have multiple skills. That's all.
That's what you do when you get a law degree. Set anything else.
There you go. What's up, boys? How we doing?
Good. Explain this. Explain the difference. So, like, if for anyone who doesn't pay attention to golf, which is kind of me, like I don't give a shit once the bets cash, really.
Yeah.
It's a pro-am tournament this weekend, minus the am.
So
why?
Normally there's
just because of Corona.
Yeah, exactly. Normally there's a bunch of slapdicks running around hacking it up, and we are forced to watch them on TV. And if it wasn't on Pebble Beach, the most beautiful golf course in the world, we wouldn't watch. But kind of have to at least watch a little bit of it because it's so gorgeous. But now we don't have them, so instead we just have the worst field we will have probably all year long, unfortunately. And it's going to be some terrible weather out there in Pebble over the weekend as well. So just a tournament. Here's the thing. It's a nice – get your feet wet this week because next week we have Tigers tournament in Riviera. It's an invitational. It's going to have probably every single, probably 18 in the top 20. This is a week just to get familiarized with some of the lower level guys on tour. And next week we'll have the studs.
Yeah, that was my biggest qualm with this one was – well, and I guess it's worth mentioning if you are betting golf and you are way too online like I am, like all of us are, honestly, like spending too much time on Twitter, too much time on our phones, too much time paying attention. It was a weird situation with the favorite being such a big favorite. First off, Dustin Johnson in a field of 150 was like 4-1 or worse. A lot of places, 3.5-1 I've seen. And people were, arguing, oh, is it value to bet him at this? I talked to some people who made a case, said I might be able to find 5. I could probably bet it at that and not even feel that bad about it. But he took himself out of the equation, pulled out of the tournament. And if you are betting golf, you're betting outrights and you're paying attention. And it's funny, this comes into play in tennis too, as tennis players will often withdraw. It's usually not the favorite, though.
No.
Which is odd. It's usually not, especially in a weird tournament where somebody is such an odds-on favorite, and then he pulls out. Saying he was 4-1, he's taken up 20% of the win probability. When someone does that, it really Fs up the market. And there's like this grace period where the offshores and some books who are lazy or slow will leave the odds up, and you're basically looking at getting a 20% bonus on some of these guys.
Yeah.
So, there was a free for all. You can see a lot of golf Twitter, what do you want to call it, just running and grabbing numbers. I did it. You did it. We did it. And it's funny. We say like, this is it's such a rare situation. This has happened twice this year already with John Rahm pulling out of the Amex. Yeah. He was what? He wasn't 4-1, but he was like
8.
10.
Yeah.
8, somewhere in 8-10-1. Yeah. He's taking up 8 to 10% of the market himself, and he pulls out. Same thing. We all are doing the running GIF to Forrest Gump running around the corner, grabbing a bunch of numbers. So, I mean, it'll end up being somebody silly winning anyway.
No doubt.
Because it is kind of a shit field. But I grabbed a few guys. It's been just, if you are paying attention to golf, something to pay attention to. If there are withdrawals early in the week, you can grab some decent numbers.
So because there's so few of the big names in this field, is it actually easier to attack? I find a lot of times, tennis trying to maybe connect some dots when there's a smaller tournament where nobody really knows who's playing. That tends up being kind of a nice week to go through and attack some stuff. But is that the case here? I mean, because some of the big names are out, does it make it easier to maybe pick apart the field a little?
This tournament is normally quite random. He had got Nick Taylor win last year. He was like, triple digits to win. If it's not Phil, who won the year before, who loves the golf course, or DJ, you still have your Ted Potter Juniors who have won it. So it's really, it's usually it comes top of the market or just complete long shots. If you have like my favorite bet of the week, and it's not available to everyone, so I don't tout it on like my Twitter or whatever. But if you have a local who's offering about 30, 40 guys, and then you have a field bet around 250, that's like the best bet. Just take that. You're going to have some dogs in the hunt, and then just pretend like you never saw the outright card. That's the way I would do it. Obviously, that's not good for content, so I'll put out both. But that for me, especially this field, considering the out of form, good course history guys. So if you're a course history guy and you follow that, all the course history guys here have sucked. Spieth is terrible right now, despite last week. Phil's playing bad. Jason Day's playing bad. Ricky Fowler's playing bad. Those are all guys who, if you follow that narrative, the course history narrative, you would be on this week. But they are just playing the lowest level of their game that they've been in a long time. So it's hard to get behind those guys.
And if you bet a field bet, take some fucking screenshots.
Yes, that's a fact.
My God, I did this last year when you recommended it. It wasn't even a local. Some offshore had it. They gave prices for like the top 23 guys, and then gave you a field bet. And I bet it, and I was looking. I'm like, man, there's a bunch of, guys who were longer shots to win. I just went and looked at like their DraftKings numbers.
Yeah.
Or, historic numbers for what the prices were. I'm like, these guys got to be in the field. But then there was a couple guys who were maybe, like 25, 30-1 guys that were kind of lurking. And I'm like, They were probably not in the field. So I contacted the book and I said, hey, can you let me know And they're like, no, just you'll have to wait.
Yeah,
They just told me to sit and spin. Like, you'll have to wait until this settles. And then
They just send you a list of everyone who's been cut.
Somebody who
Here,
the winner ended up being like somebody who was 60 or 80 to 1.
Okay.
So it wasn't really in doubt, but I was kind of mad. I'm gonna have to just sit and wonder if I won this bet or not.
So I'm looking at the list I have has Malnati, Long, Luke List, Chris Kirk, Wyndham Clark as the bottom guys. So, it's 35 guys. So if those are your bottom guys, that's a field bet. I have it to plus 250. I've seen as high as like plus 500 with those guys at the bottom. So, and usually they're going to be on some random books. That's why I'm not, I don't promote it outwardly, but tell to the loyal listeners of the Brown Bag Bets podcast.
I took some screenshots this time because I did bet a field bet here. I took a little Tringali 80 to 1. He's a guy I like, and then some Siwoo. I'm going to play Siwoo till I die. I got to figure out my one and done yet.
That's a good question.
My big question here was, and I just started running my numbers this morning because I'm late and I want to bet into a market that's already been shaped apparently, and make it harder on myself. But I have several matchups where my numbers want to fade Maverick McNeely.
Okay.
And Maverick McNeely's been working with some different coaching. He's trying to make some changes to his game. Is there anything can you talk me out of it?
So, McNeely's strong point, he's a West Coast kid. He went to Stanford, so he knows the area well. He's a POA. The one green split that I do like is POA because it can be so fickle, right? Because it's bumpy. It's not as true as your Bermuda or especially your bent grass. Now, this week is going to be cloudy, so without the sun, it might stay a little more true. But I have McNeely really low. But you look at one of the reasons is that he is pop. He might not be popping is because his performances have done well on courses where we don't have strokes gain data, right? So we're not able to get those striking numbers that I rely on so heavily. So you look at the OHL, he finished 12th. There's no strokes gain data. You look at the Bermuda where he finished 21st, obviously back in November, so whatever. But then there's no strokes gain data there. Where we do have it, he's pretty much he lost 6.5 at the Amex and he lost full stroke and en route to a missed cut at the Farmer. So these are the kind of the lower tier guys when they play these weird events in the fall season. It's like, I don't really know what to do with them. So I just don't bet them. I just don't mess with them. I don't bet against them. I'm certainly not betting on them. For what, in terms of long-term form, he's absolutely terrible. He's normally a good putter, but he hasn't even been that lately. So, it's either a fade or a no play for me. But when I just don't have very good data, I just stay away from those guys.
Yeah, it's like Varner hasn't played all that well lately, but like Varner laying like minus 125 over him, that's probably going to play.
That needs to
be this one. I never know if I say this guy's name right. I didn't even used to say Tringali's name right. I really want to say Tringal, but Triangle, Pat Kazire, Patton Kazire.
Yeah, Kazire, that's right.
Kazire? Oh, we nailed it.
Yeah,
I might do a double McNeely fade. My golf stuff, I'll post it on Twitter later. I'll post it on the app. So I'll get some golf stuff out later. I'll probably those outrights I mentioned. I did play some outrights. I'm playing those for small.
Yeah.
I'm not any good at outrights. Anything I've ever hit has been on the back of somebody else.
Are your numbers? Are you fading Spieth like I am, or I'm full Spieth fade? Where are you coming out on that?
I'm back on it. I read who's the CBS writer? Not the one we like, the good one.
Some Will Brinson guy. Rick.
No. The actual golf writer.
Rick.
Is it Rick?
Rick Run Good, isn't that his name?
Not Rick Run Good. I'll think of it. Either way, somebody wrote a pretty good article about Spieth and basically like why this isn't sustainable. He was like a Spieth fanboy. He said it was fun. It was an awesome Saturday. He's like, but you saw what he did Sunday. That's what we're gonna get.
Yeah, the one thing about Pebble, and it's important to mention, is it's a less than driver golf course, and Spieth is one of the worst drivers of the golf ball in terms of straight and distance there is on tour. Last week, he was able to get it done from impossible places. He gained strokes on approach, but ultimately, the reason why maybe this is the spot, and next week is the time where we're just going to go absolutely ham. So hopefully, even if he doesn't play, if he plays well here, we'll still get our money because you can't drive the crooked Riviera. You take less than driver on a lot of holes, especially the par fours at Pebble Beach, just to keep it in play. It's a tight golf course with greens the size of like postage stamps, right? So if there's anywhere where he might be able to get around that bad driver, it would be here. I just don't see him sustaining that iron play. I mean, that was one of his best iron performances since 2017. If he goes back to anywhere normal, gaining 2-3 strokes on approach rather than the 8 that he gained, he's not going to be able to sustain a top 10 performance, let alone, we just need we just need him to miss the cut. So if he goes back to an average iron player, he's missing the cut.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, and you can make up for bad driving, but you have to play like the amount of bad drives and bad tee shots he had, like how he was Kyle Porter. Thank you, Geesh.
Kyle Porter, there you go.
Kyle Porter. Yeah, Kyle Porter's a pretty good follow on Twitter if you like golf. He's a good writer and he's very knowledgeable and just decent content. So Kyle Porter wrote about him. It was a pretty good article. And it's like, thank you for tempering expectations and what he did with his irons, like it was amazing. Like if he was a good driver of the ball, he wins that tournament by like
300. Easily. But he's going to shoot like, especially when he makes 160 feet worth of putts on the final 4 holes. I mean, which is something he can do. Like I'm not sitting here, that's for most people that is fluky. He is one of the best putters in the world, so that's just something that will happen. He should gain 4 strokes on approach, or 4 strokes putting every single week. He's just not going to gain 8 strokes on approach every single week. That's just not going to happen. Yeah. So, but that's what he needs to do to be able to be competitive with the way his driver is.
And I've kind of been thinking about Alex's question too, as far as the comparison from golf to tennis. What makes this so hard is in tennis, it's a bracket. You can look at path. You can look at, whereas you can say like, this guy is just a little bit better than everybody and his path is easy. Like he's going to make the final likely. Whereas like you just got 150 people and a lot of them are near the same level and they're all just playing the same course and you just don't know like the motivation level. It makes it so tricky at these ones where the field sucks.
Especially when the weather is going to be like the Saturday, Sunday looks like it's like why I'm like, I wouldn't play golf in that kind of weather.
Get a roof.
Now I was looking at the outrights, and I know I'm not the biggest follower of golf here, but who is Will Zalatoris, and why is he the 4th favorite?
Well,
it's the future, baby.
We have a Willie Z.
Ahead of Jay.
Willie Z and I have an interesting history. I put a big. I said the exact same thing going into one of the majors last year. I think it was U.S. Open. Had a full fade on him for big money, and he went out and absolutely slapped me in the face. And ever since then, I'm like, dude, he's an insane ball striker. On the Korn Ferry Tour, which is like the minor league tour, he basically was top 5 every single week until he made enough money. He has a full tour card now because he won the Korn Ferry the final points lead last year. Top 10 at U.S. Open. He's been top 20ing on the PGA Tour ever since he came on. Super good ball striker. Weird, funky swing, but gets it done. Not a very good putter, but who is these days? These guys don't practice putting.
I'm not.
Not me either.
That was the one
really good player. He's
the rest looks familiar.
I promise you that. He's super, super solid ball striker.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I don't know. He's this year's Morikawa.
Probably more like a Scotty Scheffler, I'd say.
He's more, he's not going to go out and win multiple events, but he's the guy. It's like, oh, hey, guess what? In 6 months, you're not going to get prices on him like this, and it's already kind of, like Alex said, it's already kind of begun. Like he's playing well enough where you're not going to get 60 to 1s on him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he had 6th at the U.S. Open, gaining 6.5 strokes on approach. He went 6th, 8th. Wow. He has a 5th, the 7th at the Farmers, and the 17th back-to-back weeks at the Farmers and the Waste Management. I mean, and those are some of the best fields we've seen all year. So the guy's definitely a good player.
That's good to know. That was the one name that it seemed least familiar.
It's a good name though, Willie Z, baby.
Willie Z. He's one of those too where he's a guy where when you don't have enough data on him, you kind of have to make some educated guesses. And for the most part, it's like, well, and I actually backed him at some point, I think for maybe last week, the week before, where I was just kind of like, I'm putting my life in your hands here because I don't have the data to back up this play. Like this normally wouldn't be a play, but I've seen you play, and it's like shit. You're good enough right now to win this matchup for me. I played him over Mark Leishman.
Oh God,
at the Farmers, laying a stroke and a half. I played him. I think I might have played him in a couple maybe daily matchups as well, but it was like more of a Leishman fade, I suppose. But at the same time, it's like I don't have the data to back this up.
Yeah.
But we're gonna play you, and hopefully it goes well. So
and a lot of books are gonna have him versus Spieth as a matchup. I have a lot of guys DMing me about that. I don't have that available to me as of yet. I haven't gone looking in the bookmaker pot yet, but that's a bet that I'll have if it's anywhere near close. Yeah,
bookmaker does not have matchup handicaps yet. They just have the matchups up. So
they're really slacking.
A little slow this year. Before we cut you loose here, do you have anything outrights that you would still recommend? I know a lot of those numbers move.
You know what? I haven't even really looked at them because I know they're just going to be so bad now. I think you're going to, the guys, the further down my outright list you get, the less they've moved, right? So you can still get like a Streelman a Steele at, anywhere from like 7. You could probably get Norlander at 445, I would imagine. Yeah, he's at 4 at Bet Online. You can probably look around. Tringali and Burns and Davis. They really moved the top guys. So like Zoltari, I have a Willie Z outright this week, actually. That's no longer bettable. Neither is the Molinari outright. Those are the ones you really can't. The rest of them are close enough percentage-wise to where you can still pop them.
I know there's one guy who's pretty excited about Molinari. Molinari's playing. He's playing a little better this year, so he's not he's not a full fade anymore.
Greco's my guy.
Yeah, he's my favorite Italian person that talks to me on Twitter. So, all right, cool.
Cool,
I will have look for James's stuff on Twitter, podcast, anywhere you find podcasts. The for profit and your full card will be out on Twitter. My stuff will be out on Twitter soon too. And don't forget about the other sports, baby. We still had some other stuff. So Southern Illy plus 6.5. So you can.
I got 7 on that bad boy.
Hornets and James follows me on BetSperts and got a better number. I got a 7.5 this morning when I woke up. So, and that's not even dirty talking. Hornets plus 6 or Hornets plus 4, Hornets straight up, and of course Podoroska and Van Ivanagik.
Oh, Jutvank, I believe.
Jutvank, any which way you can. Again, thanks for coming on, JD. We always love talking some golf, and I'm excited to sweat some golf this weekend again.
Love it, boys. Thank you for having me.
See you tomorrow, I like how Alex was hidden behind the logo there at the end. That made me laugh. I unmuted just to say that.